conversation. Welcome back to this channel. I hope you're doing absolutely fine. Today we are here to talk about entrepreneurship with none other than Ria Chatterjee. She's not only an entrepreneur, but she's a metalsmith and my childhood friend. So welcome, Ria, to the podcast. What's happening? How are you?
I'm great. I'm super excited. All the more because this is my first podcast and this is with none other than you.
I'm super excited too.
So am I.
Yes. Okay. So let us start by talking through your journey. You started out as a social media manager for the biggest events in Delhi, and how did your brand come into being?
So to begin with, social media was never something that I wanted to do. I did my college from a fashion school. I went to NIFT. I pursued jewelry because I wanted to do jewelry. But I think, life just turns out and there are certain circumstances that happen and you just put in a spot where you're just doing something you never planned to do. So social media happened to me like that. And I was really enjoying my work. I think I found that space where I was talking to a lot of people. I was engaging with so many people. I was on the media. I was doing creative work. I was doing content. I was really happy. But then, the question comes that are you really satisfied?
Yeah.
You're working, you're gaining money, you're meeting new people, but after everything is done, when at the end of the day, are you satisfied? Is your soul happy? So I think that was the answer that I got when I finally dropped everything down and I said, I need to do Joas, or I need to at least do what my heart desires for, which was metalsmithing, which was jewelry designing. And so I had been doing it, but as a hobby, as a side hobby, whenever I used to get time, because in the whole marketing, social media, there, you're constantly working.
It's a 24-hour job. I was a social media manager and I know it's a 24-hour job. I was also, it reminds me I was working on New Year's Eve and my dad's like, can you please chill?
Exactly. The same thing happened. I had to go for a Christmas, on the very Christmas day. I was working from morning till evening and then, the whole parties that happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you come back home and you have to do your makeup and get ready to go and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was doing Joas. I was as a hobby and then I said that this is my calling, this is what I want to do. And if you're getting money for something that you love or your heart desires, why not?
Absolutely, why not?
Exactly.
Yeah, and let me then come to the question of what inspired Joas and how did you come with the name?
So the name happened because it's more of a combination of my parents' name put together. So Jo comes from Jonna and the AS or the ass comes from my father's name. So that's Ashish. And then I just amalgamated the two together. And in a foreign culture, I think it's in Hebrew, that it also means that it's a gift from God.
Right.
So for me, it was like a win-win, And it is a gift from, my gods, in a way, if that's the right thing to say, my parents. So that's the name put together, and it worked out really well. I really like the name.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yay! Okay, so what are the initial challenges that came about when you started the brand, and did you also kind of started like in parallel to when you were working? Because this is something I've learned over a period of time because. When I was working in as a social media manager, in parallel I was also kind of building for my passion. And so that at least I have a backup with my job. Because if I rely on something completely new and I have nothing in background, then it becomes quite crazy. So tell me about your journey.
I was doing it as a hobby. It was not a mainstream work that I was focusing on because one, I did not get the time to do it, and two, because I just thought that maybe I'll never be able to do it. Because when you're in that one sector where you're just constantly busy, constantly working, you're like, maybe this is my life. Even though I've not chosen it, but it chose me, so maybe this is my life. So that happened. However, I was practicing a little bit here and there. I was making jewelry, because I love metalsmithing, so I was just constantly doing it on my bench. So that was the part, but I think, I've always wanted to do it at the back of my head. I was just not getting the right time. And especially if you wanted to be a full-fledged business, then you can't have a side hustle like social media.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
And the initial challenges that you said, I think I still face that even now, is because sometimes, the workload is so much so that, which wasn't obviously there initially. Because initially the orders used to be one order, two order, and you're happily doing it, you're enjoying your craft. Later, as in now, obviously I plan to hire people, who can at least help me with the whole administrative aspect. But I think when you're a one-man army, then it's a little tough for you to manage packaging, taking orders, keeping a track of your stock, your inventory, your website, your social media. And I think this is something that a lot of people who are doing small businesses single-handedly or have just started, I think this is something that a lot of people face, sometimes if an X person wants a product to be delivered, you cannot make a commitment, because you're like, I have 10 other products also to complete. So that, then what happens is the customer's like, okay, I'll come back to you. So you lose out, right? So I think being a one-man driven company is great.
One woman, I must say.
Yay!
That's
I was super excited.
Yeah, I mean, what is this one man? It's one woman driven
100%.
company.
So one woman driven company. So but I think now I should hire more women because that is what I aim to do. And let's hope that the obstacles. There aren't obstacles really, but of course setbacks for sure. Which will be turned out in a positive way in the near future if I start hiring.
Absolutely. When you talk about hiring and stuff, one of the things that I actually notice in a lot of businesses that kind of shut down is that they end up hiring people in the initial go without realizing that it's like an add-on, and they have no profits coming, but they're just busy paying these people, and then the labor cost of course is huge in India. I mean, now it's getting huge, of course, but hiring people means the cost goes up somehow, and that is something that I want to talk to you about. How did you say ki no, not right now, I won't hire people right now until the time things don't get stabilized?
See, it was very simple with me, Sneha. When I started off with Joas, I did not have a set an X amount of asset that I can invest in my business. I literally started with zero in my bank balance. The reason why, because I believed in what I wanted to do, and I also had this perception that chalo agar nahi hota, I can have a fallback on social media. So there was no investment as such. Of course, I invested in my raw materials. That was obviously an investment. I invested in the right kind of lighting that I would want in order to do my metal thing. I invested in my tools. I invested in a proper bench, which is sturdy enough. Packaging materials, but apart from that,
but those are the basics that you need anyway. You can't do without it.
Exactly.
But what you cannot do with, like for example, like I was telling you, the labor cost is so something that we can kind of eliminate at the initial stage is what I was trying to come to, and then those other things that you can tell us is what you can minus from the business at the initial stage especially, and then you can bring it up later because then you're making profits out of the...
Right. So a lot of people, I think the problem that you initially mentioned that they hire during the initial course of their the setup or the build-up of their company, because they have this mindset that ये तो उड़ने वाला है. Like this business is going to fly. I did not have that ideology. Also, a plus factor that I had was that I am a metalsmith myself. So I did not have to go out to source, which is why again I started Joas. That in India, since we're a labor-intensive community, we usually go out and we get the things made or we procure the things from wholesalers. I wanted to stop that. I wanted to incorporate slow fashion or slow accessories in my case, and also this whole metalsmith culture. When you go abroad, you will see a lot of big labels, really big jewelry labels. All the designers, they're not just designers, but they're also metalsmith. So what happens is I don't have my transportation cost to go to that place and to get the mall and whatever, that's cut. Secondly, if I get an idea, I can sit there and I can do it.
You can even sit at 3 a.m. in the morning and do it. You're not going to.
At my exactly.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, more than that, Neha, I also think something that I personally realized is that you not just have the ability to design on paper, but you yourself, you're going through that process, that you're making it. A lot of jewelry designers, with all due respect, of course, because everybody is not a metalsmith.
Yeah.
So they just tend to sketch, they tend to give it to somebody who makes it for them, and that's great, because obviously you can't. But I think in my case, it's just such a satisfying process. It's more of a meditative process for me. And you know, when it comes out right in front of you, you're like, wham, I did it. You know, it's like an aha moment. So, yeah, I mean, that's also a part of the perk that I tend to get along.
I think I also see that satisfaction in your face when you talk about the brand, and that's amazing. Okay, so you know, for the audience, let's understand what is so unique about Joas.
So the first and foremost thing is that you don't get anything which is procured from outside. We do not go to a wholesaler. We do not knock doors of any Chinese brand or label. We don't even go to any other karigar. We're promoting a culture, which is a metalsmithing culture, and whatever you see is what you get. It has its own journey that it travels through. If I'm wearing this, then this has its own journey. And this earring's journey is different from this, even though it's a pair, but they both have their own separate journeys, you know. Then it's all handcrafted and nothing is plated. I make things which is out of brass, and brass lasts 1,000 years. I'm going to break this whole perception about, you know, people having this thing that, oh, is this plated? It's not plated. Let's cut chemicals. Let's just cut the carbon footprints. Let's embrace what's natural. Of course, people, you know, have this whole question, this inquisitiveness that, oh, it might turn darker, it might turn black. It will. It tarnishes, like, you know, change is inevitable. So are metals. Silver is going to turn dark. Brass is going to turn dark. All you have to do is just take it and clean it. Simple. You can't do the same thing with the plated jewelry. If you do the same thing with the plated jewelry, it's going to scrape off. And it's going to turn legit black. So there's no going back. So what I'm giving is something which is pure, something that is also very reminiscent of us as human beings, that change, you know. And we have our flaws, yeah. We should embrace it. So does my jewelry. You know, like the ones that I'm wearing has fire stains on it. And it's very natural because metal oxidizes. So it's just, I think it's a mix of everything. It's a mix of handcrafted jewelry. It's a mix of an ideology and ethos that change is inevitable. It is, of course, made by me, the designer, so I don't have to go out. And yeah, I mean, it's a brand, so
Absolutely, this is so nice. And also the fact something that you spoke about a while back when you were talking about how you want to hire women.
Yeah.
So tell me, where do you see Joas in the next coming years, and where do we see Joas?
You know, I really would want to stick to this whole idea of a small business, even if it, God willing, even if it booms.
Yeah.
But I think that whole ideology of it being a small business is very comforting to me.
Yeah.
So I want that to be there.
Right.
However, I would want to hire women who are really worthy.
Right.
You know, I don't want to hire people who can just who are from big universities or, you know, who've gone to great schools. I'm not looking for them. I mean, if you have and if you can, you know, show that in your work, that's great. But I really want women who are, I mean, if I may use this word, you know, who are not from a very fluent background, but who have a lot of talent in them.
Of course.
You know, the college that I went to, majority of them were, they did not have a Mercedes standing outside their house, or a Maruti also standing outside their house. Some of them didn't even have television, but they are fab with their work. And I think with the kind of market that we have right now, there's no scope for them, even now, because hey, you can't talk in English. oh hey, your comprehension is not that good. But look at the way they work. And they're women. They want to do something for themselves, but their alternative goes after college. They have to get into a very, marriage kind of thing because they don't have that exposure. So I think I really want. I hope that I get women, who are free to work who are out there and who want to work. And yeah, I mean that's that. I want to have a store of my own, of course. Hopefully in Bombay. I love Bombay, but also Delhi. But I want to have a store in Bombay, and yeah, I just want to have a healthy growth, a gradual healthy growth with strong women who want to do something for themselves.
And of course, work speaks for itself. So we don't need to even talk about what language they use and even if they cannot speak proper English, how does it matter?
Absolutely. I think this is one culture that we should really imbibe,
Yeah.
and it's high time we imbibe it. We're living in India. We're not living in the States or Europe or any European countries. So if you cannot communicate in English, अगर आप हिंदी बोलते हो, but अगर आपका काम अच्छा है,
आप कोई भी लैंग्वेज बोल सकते हो.
आप कोई भी लैंग्वेज बोल सकते हो.
हिंदी क्यों, कन्नड़ा, तमिल कुछ भी बोल सकते हो. As long as your work shows your talent, and that's absolutely it. And I'm pretty sure we will soon see a great store in Bombay.
I'm super excited.
Yes, and that'll be like the highlight.
You'll be coming for the inauguration.
Yes, I'll be trying to cut the ribbon.
Why not?
And we'll do some
claps.
We'll also call up some journalists and everyone around. Okay, before I let you go, and let's cut the conversation short, please tell our audience where do they buy Joas?
So I'm available on Instagram, that is joash.insta, which is my handle. And apart from that, we're coming up with our website tomorrow. So as soon as if you obviously go to my Instagram page, you'll see the link. I'm not yet revealing it because there's a little more work to do.
Yeah.
But and of course, in a lot of other stores pan India. We're also available on Brown Living, which is again an ethical, sustainable online store. We're there. We're also going to be in Bangalore very soon, in Hyderabad and Bombay. Yes.
Oh, that's great. Amazing.
Yay!
Full drum roll to this. Thank you for the conversation, and thank you. And if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe.
Please.
And I will see you next week.
Bye.